special guest right now is Emily Iland. She is the author of Autism Spectrum Disorder A to Z and also a new book, Drawing a Blank, Improving Comprehension for Readers on the Autism Spectrum. And Emily is having a seminar, a one-day seminar next Friday, November 30th in Burbank, California, about drawing a blank and how we can help our children be able to read and comprehend better, giving them the tools that they need so that they can be successful in reading comprehension. So Emily, thank you so much for being with us. Talk to us a little bit about who should be coming to the seminar and what kinds of things that they'll learn at the seminar.
Sure. Well, it's for parents and professionals because it takes parents and professionals to work together to address this issue because it's so pervasive. And when I was at CSUN, oops, I said which university, when I was doing my master's degree, people really weren't talking about the specific needs of people on the spectrum. And we're thinking maybe things that work for people with other disabilities will work for people on the spectrum. And that turns out not to be true. That's what I found out in my independent study that resulted in the book. So first I looked at all the research, and this is in the book, and we'll discuss it in the seminar. What is this problem exactly? Where does it come from? What features of autism contribute to it? And then knowing that, how do we address it? The next thing I looked at was every study that exists for the evidence about what to do. And there were only 11 studies out of 754 studies on reading comprehension instruction. Only 11 had a person with autism in the study. So in other words, we don't have a lot to go on. 11 studies out of 754.
Wow.
So I did find 4 techniques that should work, and I will be teaching those. One of them is called a primer passage, where we spell things out before somebody reads. And it's a technique used with English language learners. But I always say that kids on the spectrum are almost like English language learners in their own language.
Yeah.
Because of their developmental differences in their language.
Absolutely. So incredible. So really it could be parents or teachers. If a parent is sitting there watching right now and they're thinking to themselves, okay, I would like to come to this, and we just showed the flyer for a second, and I'll have Emily show it again. If they would like to come to it, they can, and we'll put it up on our Facebook too, so that they can see where they can find the link to. But I'm wondering if somebody wanted to send their child's teacher to this event, I would think that would be a great teacher gift to give somebody instead of going and buying the hot chocolate and the mug and all that stuff, because they can get, I see that they can get CEU credits for it, so continuing education credits for it.
And everybody who attends receives the book.
Which is a wonderful thing.
So basically, I'm going to do a guided tour of the book so that it's a tool that every single attendee has for understanding the problem, for knowing what the evidence says. And then, of course, I was not satisfied with 4 techniques, and I knew that they didn't touch on every area. Yeah. So then I went looking and creating 3 more chapters full of other ideas, things that are well matched to the learning profile in autism, especially for good decoders. You know, I say that if you're a good decoder on the spectrum, it's like a Trojan horse. These are these kids who are reading early or could read anything but have no idea what it means.
Right.
And the teachers are blinded by their strengths until about 4th grade when everything falls apart.
Yeah.
And so I believe that the seminar I'm doing and the book itself can do 2 things. One, remediate someone who has comprehension failure, and also prevent it in younger children. If everyone understands what the problem is, then we can do lots of things while children are still learning to read and comprehend at the same time. But to go back and help those struggling readers.
Well, I think that's wonderful. And as I said, you're singing my song because my son is in 4th grade this year. And this, when he took the CAT this last year, it was the first time we saw a little bit of a dip in the reading comprehension number. His numbers are great, but there's a little bit of a dip in the reading comprehension, and it scared me. And we got to get on this.
Well, because maybe you felt it in your gut all along, and maybe he remembers things and gets 80% correct that are the factual questions, and then when it comes to the inference or reading between the lines,
exactly.
he draws a blank.
Exactly. Well, or he's somewhere else. For my particular child, it's like he's on a different page always than where they are. I had somebody observe him last year. They were reading The City Mouse and the Country Mouse, and somebody was there observing, and they were asked what the theme of Country Mouse and City Mouse was, and all the kids in third grade were saying all these different things, and my son started talking about the Industrial Revolution, and they told him he was wrong.
Oh dear! I wonder if he was.
Right.
To do with mice.
Right. I don't know, but but in any case, sometimes he's so far over here that on a test it's wrong. So I want him to get it. I want him to get it and not be held back by it. And I think sometimes he is held back by it.
Absolutely.
But I think a really incredible thing. So take us through the day a little bit, because it starts at 9 o'clock the day.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to have our morning session. And one reason I believe in explaining what the problem is because once people understand the problem really well, you can find your own solutions. You don't have to wait for me to tell you what the research says or what I've done in the educational therapy clinic at a university where I'm teaching children to read in a clinic. And by the way, you didn't know that, did you, Shannon?
I didn't know that you were teaching children how to read in a clinic. You and I have to we have to talk.
Well, I'm finishing a postmaster's certificate in educational therapy, and that's it's basically taking the strategies in my book and trying them out with living, breathing, wonderful, third and fourth graders, and it's working.
Well, and I was going to say to you too, because you were able to do this with your son with great success, correct?
Yes, the things I did with him were less formal because I worked with him prior to writing the book. So we were just trying to figure it out for ourselves. But when he was in college, I went back to get the answers, and some of the things helped. For example, when he was going to take the CPA exam for the state of California to become a certified public accountant, we did some very specific testing of his comprehension and language and submitted the results to the Board of Examiners, and they allowed him to have an electronic dictionary for the CPA exam.
Oh, nice.
And for that reason, he passed. He had to use it 15 or 20 times over the course of the 4 sections. And it's related to his developmental difference in language. But if we weren't able to describe it and explain it and document it, he would not have passed the CPA exam because he didn't know the meaning of words like conservatively speaking or things like this. So he knew the math, but he couldn't figure out the problem if there was a word blocking his way.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Really amazing. Okay, and so now you've had the opportunity. So you worked with him and you specified with him, wrote the book, and now you've had the opportunity to be working on this with, as you said, living, breathing, real children. And yes. And how successful is this, Emily?
It has been very successful. All different things that pique their imagination. We're going to do a lot of the activities at the seminar. It's not just sit there and listen.
Okay.
We're going to see videos of kids using it. We're going to be hands-on ourselves and walk away with all sorts of new tools and options in your toolbox.
Love it. We've got a question from a viewer, Emily. They want to know if I would please ask you, what is the best method for reading comprehension testing for our kids?
I have a whole appendix on that question, because a lot of times it's masks. There's problems with masking, like the Woodcock-Johnson, for example, has one specific way of measuring a certain type of comprehension, but it's not necessarily the kind of problems our kids are having. So in Appendix 8, I have 3 pages of tests that do get to the bottom of it. And I created this appendix either from things that work for my son or from some speech pathologists who helped me, and finally from what the researchers used to get to the bottom of the comprehension issue. So an example would be the test of problem solving, which is a social thinking test, but it helps us realize the types of comprehension problems a person is going to have if they can't understand characters or motivation or problems and resolutions. Another one is the Neal analysis reading ability test that was used by some researchers to get to identify the gap between accuracy and understanding, which is exactly the gap that our children are experiencing.
Absolutely. Well, Emily, this is fabulous, fabulous information. So getting back to the seminar is on Friday, November 30th. It's in Burbank, California. It is not too late to register. For people who register and need CEUs, they are available, and your registration includes getting the books and the materials. It's very hands-on, interactive. And it is you. It's not that they're going to go and they're going to see you for 10 minutes and see a bunch of other speakers. This is you talking about this information.
For 6 hours.
6 hours. You're going to be tired at the end of it.
You know what? I'm so energized by it because people get so excited and happy to think, oh my gosh, I get it, and now I know what to do.
Absolutely. Well, I am excited about this, and I am trying to make it possible so that I can be there, because as a parent, this is really where we're at. So I want to be there. But I also want to, for people who can't get there, they're too far away and live other places, they can still get your book and have a great tool, yes?
Yes, and also I do travel all over the country speaking on this. So it's I'm going to be in Philadelphia area, Pittsburgh in February, and I've been working in Indiana and Nebraska, and kind of people are getting wind of this and bringing me in, so I can come to any school district or community that would like to sponsor an event.
Great.
And also, hand in hand, H&H Associates, they're the ones who are putting on this event. They are interested in putting this event on all over the country. So that's a good website to check out, H&H Associates USA, to make a request to have me come and do it in your town.
Okay, so if you've got a group of people in your town and that you are, we always talk about that global and more local support group. If your local support group would like for Emily to come, that's definitely something that you can look into. But in the meantime, you can get your hands on the book. They can find it on your website, Emily, and also on Amazon, correct?
Yes, and my publisher would like me to say you can get it at AAPC Publishing.
Okay, AAPC Publishing. Great. So there are all of those different places that you can get your hands on the book and get started, because this is a really important piece of the puzzle for our kids.
Yes, it's a make it or break it issue, and the sooner you get working on it, the better. And there are lots of ways to improve comprehension, but what works for everybody doesn't necessarily work for people on the spectrum.
Absolutely. And you mentioned that you're starting to work on this with districts. So there are districts that are having you come in and do this with all of the teachers?
Yes, they invite the reading specialists, the resource teachers, all sorts of people come in, and the districts are actually putting it on. I've had as many as 150 people in the room so far from just one educational area in Nebraska.
Okay, well, Emily, you live in my community.
Yep.
What do I need to do to have you do this for the school district that my child is in, that I think you are aware of what school district that is?
Yes, well, I've invited them to send people to this event.
Okay.
And I've heard positive things, so hopefully they actually will.
Okay.
But of course, you could also spread the word. Rather than putting on their own event, just take advantage of this one.
Okay. All right. We will see about that, about doing that. And we're going to show the flyer one more time so that people can see it on the screen there. This is Drawing a Blank, Improving Comprehension for Readers on the Autism Spectrum. There it is. You can learn more at HandHAssociatesusa.com. There's also a phone number there that you can go to. Emily, I'm going to try to work it so that I can be there, because it's really important to me.
And we have early bird registration right now at a discount until the 23rd. So don't wait till after Thanksgiving to sign up. Sign up now.
Okay. And I thank you so much for being with us. And we'll have to have you back on the show to talk about some of the things that you have done in our community with the police and with other organizations, and what a pivotal part of the community that you've been. But I thank you so much. You are very definitely on my gratitude list this week.
Well, thank you. That's very inspirational to me to know that what I've been doing helps people, and that's the whole point.
It absolutely does. So I thank you so much. And you have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Thank you to you too, and to all your listeners.
Thank you.